coming in from a mortgage perspective. So Claudia, I'm going to come to you for a few quick fire ones, if you don't mind. First, we'll have a go, best endeavours. The first question is a pretty usual one that I too normally hear as well, is in why would there be a benefit of going to a mortgage broker rather than going direct to the bank?
Okay, so as a mortgage broker, we work with different banks, and each bank has a different lending criteria and approval criteria. This is irrespective of the conditions. So sometimes we have clients, the majority of our clients are probably self-employed, and there is a difference how a bank would look at dividend income, corporate net profits, how their income is structured, etc. So that can already determine if a bank will potentially approve an application or not. So as a mortgage broker, we know all the different criteria, and then once we have established that, we then start comparing the conditions from each bank a client will be eligible for. So we save time for the clients, especially, as Joe just mentioned, the market is very busy. In the last 2 years, it's been extremely busy. We only see a small part of the transactions because not everybody needs a mortgage, but we have had really huge volumes. And so we save time, which is important in a hot market, so that people don't lose the property. Also, with our expertise, we know how to structure an application, what documents will be required. So once we go to the bank, we will get an approval within 5 to 7 working days. And we work on a very transparent manner. So if we think something needs a bit of tweaking, we're very honest with clients to make sure we can move quickly once the clients do find property.
Thank you. Another popular question that we've had from a few people, to be honest, with regards to, I think these are people that haven't looked at the mortgage industry in Portugal before, and they wanted to get a better understanding of the options and types of mortgages that are available in the territory of Portugal. Is that fairly similar to other territories around the world, or is there some key differentials which might be a new way of mortgage for some of the audience this evening?
The mortgage products in Portugal are fairly straightforward. There is either well, they're all on a capital repayment basis. So in other countries, you would get interest-only mortgages or deferred mortgages where you have a lump sum payment at the end, at the maturity of the mortgage. But those types of products are not currently available. So it's a capital repayment mortgage either on a variable rate, a fixed rate for the entire term, or a mixed rate, which would start on a fixed rate and then change into a variable rate. So depending on the client's intention with the property, the investment horizon, so that also has to be taken into consideration when making a choice of what type of product or interest rate structure they will choose.
Right. Thank you very much. And that goes into a bit of the lending criteria as well. And we've had a question from the audience, what we've been going from Mark, who's suggesting that there might be different lending criteria or available around the purpose of getting a golden visa, i.e. that if they're buying a property with a mortgage for the purpose of getting a golden visa, he suggested it wasn't possible unless there's a cash down payment meeting the requirements of a certain volume of euros. He asks whether or not that's true. Is that something that you can comment on, Claudia?
Yes, that is true, and André, who does the golden visa applications for the clients, can confirm this also. So the minimum investment amount for the golden visa, so there are different amounts, 280, 350, 500,000. That will always need to be brought, not in actual cash, but in cash into Portugal. So that amount cannot be mortgaged. Only the difference between, let's say it's a 500,000 euro golden visa investment, the 500,000 need to come from the home country, and then the difference, if the property is 800,000, the clients can borrow the extra 300,000.
Thank you. Claudia, I'm going to come back to you with some more bitty bits around mortgages and options around mortgages as the expert this evening. A few questions. Can I raise a mortgage even if I buy a property through a business? And maybe somewhat connected to this, can I repay or overpay a Portuguese mortgage, and what are the costs for doing so? 2 questions for you there, please, Claudia.
Okay, so with regards to the company purchase, the Portuguese banks only lend to Portuguese registered companies. So that would typically be a limited company that was created here in Portugal. So if a client, sometimes we have inquiries where clients have a business in the UK or in Holland or Germany, the banks will not finance those companies buying here. So that would have to be arranged in the home country where the company is domiciled. And with regards to the early repayment of the mortgage, yes, absolutely. We have clients, they use a mortgage, not because they need a mortgage, but it's like part of an investment strategy. And if the mortgage is on a variable rate basis, a part of it or all of it can be repaid at any time, and the penalty is 0.5%. So for every 10,000 that are repaid early, the penalty is 50 euros. If the clients opt for a fixed rate mortgage, the penalty is 2%. So for every 10,000, it's a 200 euro penalty, but it can be done at any time, in part or in full. So it's very flexible, especially compared to other countries. So that's a bonus. It gives the flexibility.
Fair answer. I'm going to go to you next, Claudia, if I move some mortgage ones that have come in. If I purchase a plot of land, can I apply for a construction loan to build the property?
Yes, excuse me. Yes, so the plot will generally have to be purchased in cash with their own funds, and then the construction can be financed up to 100% of the construction costs.
It's very different from other places in Europe when you can't do that. Another plus for Portugal. Will raising a mortgage on a property delay the completion process, and if so, by how much? So I'm assuming that's someone commenting on how hot the market is, perhaps finding that dream property, got the cash available, but equally likes the lending terms. Will applying for a mortgage have an impact on the timelines or how strong that offer might be to buy that property, Claudia?
Generally, we don't think so, but maybe Joe, obviously he deals with cash deals. Very often cash deals, the clients have also tied up their money in investment portfolios and pension funds. So they also require time to release those funds and make them, not liquid funds, but to make them available. We try to, we've been here a long time. We know the shortcuts we can take throughout the process. So we can do maybe an approval and the bank valuation at the same time if time is of real essence. Open up bank accounts before an approval is done, or whilst the approval is kind of pending.
And what are the kind of timelines involved in that, Claudia? If someone was approaching you to apply for a mortgage, what kind of timelines would that process take to fill out the application, go to a bank and theoretically get a mortgage in principle approved for that purchase?
Yeah, so the Portuguese banks, they don't do agreements in principles. That's very different to other countries. What we do as a company, we pre-qualify clients. So on our website, there is a mortgage inquiry form, which every client will complete as a first step. And then we go through the different approval criteria. And then we can give the clients an indication. Some clients want to know what is the maximum they can borrow, or if they are good to borrow X amount. So that depends how far in their property search they already are. So that is a service that we offer, and we know the approval criteria of the banks that we work with inside out. So very rarely we are wrong, unless of course something comes up on the documentation, which then, yeah, it's not as per the inquiry form. So within 5 to 7 working days, we have an approval. We can do the valuation process at the same time. Usually when the clients come to us, we also ask the lawyer. So in this case, you know, Andre, if we have a mutual client, would start working on the conveyancing, because that also has to be done before the first legally binding contract, the promissory contract, is signed. So we try to have all these processes run in parallel. So we get the approval, the bank valuation, the lawyer is doing the conveyancing, starting to draft the promissory contract. So by the time everything comes together, which is usually about 2 2.5 weeks, then the promissory contract can be signed.